Welcome back to the San Diego Opera Podcast. I'm Nick Ravelis, your host, and my guest today is the director of our production of Bizet's Carmen, which opens in 4 or 5 days, Kyle Lang. Kyle, welcome back to San Diego.
Hey Nick, how are you?
Good, and you, mister? You're having a good time, I think.
I am having a great time. Great time.
Revisiting Carmen. You were last with us doing Pirates of Penzance.
Pirates, and then I directed As One right after.
Oh, and As One, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. So you're becoming a regular.
Yes,
this is cool.
It seems so. I love it.
Cool, yeah.
This place has totally become a second home for me. The people here, the staff, stage management, the crew, everyone has really. They all rally together, and everyone works really hard together. And they welcomed me in a few years ago when I started assisting on productions here, and hopefully they won't ever get rid of me.
We like that. Well, now Carmen, this is a piece that is so well known and so done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was saying, I think in my very first podcast interview with Ginger Costa Jackson, who is our Carmen, that there's probably not a day goes by in the world where there's a production of Carmen going.
Yeah,
it's
very
that
true.
Popular.
Very true.
It's that much done. So, as a stage director, how do you approach it and bring something fresh to it? You have to rethink it, I imagine, huh?
No, I try to. So when I started to prepare for this production, what I did not do was refer to other people's productions.
Okay.
And what I did not do is I tried to go in with no preconceived notion of what I wanted to do. I first sat down with the libretto, translated it, went through what I thought they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started to go through the libretto with the score and looked at the dynamic markings that Bizet has written to realize how he wanted it to be said.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of just went from there, who's talking to who and why they're saying what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that the structure of the piece is you can't reinvent the wheel, but you can find what kind of style of wheel you like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just kind of interpreted it how I interpret it.
Mm-hmm.
So not that, this is the normal thing that you do in Carmen, but more of this is what the music and the words are telling me to do, are asking me to ask them to do in that moment.
Let's take an example then, and let's use something that everybody knows, because we'll have people in the audience and watching this podcast as well who know Carmen very, very well.
Sure.
But people that are totally new to it as well. Mm-hmm. So the habanera, which is Carmen's entrance aria. Everybody knows the tune, and people have an idea of what's going on. How are you approaching it?
So for me, it's less about her coming in to force a seduction or to seduce people in. What I wanted to arrive at is that she just possesses this enigmatic mystery, the X factor, so that people are drawn to her, so that she almost doesn't have to work too hard to get it. It's there. So, I've staged it in a way where she does have to work. She's singing, she's singing like amazing. It's incredible. But for me, it was trying to show with the people around her that they are drawn to her, that she doesn't have to go to them to get their attention.
She doesn't have to work too hard to do it. She just is.
She is it.
This
incredibly.
That
whenever she
Dionysiac
appears, you forget everything else. You forget what thought you're having at that moment, and you're just drawn there. Your whole body just turns towards her, and you don't even realize you're doing it. That she has this mystical quality. And, she gives him the flower of a sorceress. So, there's that.
But now, Escamillo is a similar character, at least for Carmen, in the sense that when he comes in and sings his entrance aria, he doesn't have to try too hard either. He's just him.
Yes. It's,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, vocally, it's a very tough aria because the tessitura sits so high.
Right.
For me, Escamillo, he's the only person in the story who does not have an agenda. Even Micaela has an agenda. Mm-hmm. He does not. When we first see him, to me, he's a rags to riches story. He was perhaps a poor child who found a talent, and that talent made him who he is. So I think the reason people love him is because, all in all, he's one of them. So I've treated that aria in a bit more of a humble way for him, so that we actually see him as a person and not like just a rock star.
Yeah, a celebrity.
You know, exactly.
Right.
So that we see that he has heart, and I think that is why when Carmen sees him, she suddenly sees a whole life she would have never imagined. Mm-hmm. Perhaps she sees him and thinks, I could have children with this man. Mm-hmm. You know, so that it's an epiphany for her. Yeah. It's a whole, like, it completely changes her trajectory.
But speaking of which, I sat in on a little bit of the rehearsal last night, and during the second verse of the Toreador song, there's a little boy in the tavern that he sort of engages in the aria and gives him a red tablecloth and has him pretend to be a matador. As if he's saying, when you grow up, you can be like me.
Yeah.
Being
if you
a
work
kind of
hard,
mentor.
if you commit, I mean, and this is, I guess, my mantra in life is that when opportunities come, if you apply yourself to that opportunity, it's only going to lead to more opportunity. So I feel like in that moment, I'm wanting to see a reflection of seeing himself in the child, and also saying to the child, you know, the world is yours. If you train yourself and you work hard at what you're doing, then you know, the sky's the limit. So.
It was a great little touch.
Oh, good.
Really,
good.
Lovely. And finally, Don Jose. I've always felt that nobody in the opera changes as much as Don Jose does.
Correct.
He has actually one of the most incredible character arcs in all opera.
Yes, 100%.
Right? So how do you emphasize that? What's your treatment of the character?
I think the tough thing with his character is that it's really easy for someone to get there too soon. So because he's a bit bipolar, I guess, and he kind of hits these outbursts. With an actor, you try to not allow them to get to Act 4 and Act 2, which can easily happen.
Right.
So you have to gauge what rage is for him. And what rage is in that moment. You can't just say, and you can't just say, you know, well, you lose your mind in this moment, because he doesn't. When he loses his mind, something else happened. Now he loses pieces of it.
Right.
Yeah, so in a way, his arc can go too quickly if you're not careful. So it's a matter of finding a pacing there. You know, and he also, you really have to talk about the moments between, like when he sees Micaela, when she appears in Act 3, how that kind of changes the moment for him, and how that is what pulls him back, you know. And he sees her, and he understands why she's there, but then, you know, he then goes back at Carmen, and she stops to say, you know, your mother's dying, that's why you need to go. And so it's a matter of he hits those points, and there's something that pulls him back.
Well, the neat thing about that is that it supports what the singer has to do technically, because if the singer goes too far vocally in Act 2, there's the danger of not having enough, you know, to complete the character vocally by the time he gets to Act 4.
I totally believe in works like this. I mean, this is such a work of genius.
It's brilliant.
That is built into the music. The acting is built into the music.
It really
is. You know, I was telling the chorus when I gave them notes a couple of days ago that when movies began to really be underscored, this is the composer that they all studied.
Yeah.
That if you listen to the music, it does have this cinematic quality that was 100 years before its time.
Absolutely.
It has this feeling that every second the tension grows and then shrinks and then grows some more. It's constantly in motion. You never really hit these long static phrases. Even with Jadi, with Michaela's aria, there is still like a flow to it. That,
she and I talked about that in our podcast, that may be a lovely lyrical aria. This is the Michaela's aria in Act 3. In the cello section, you've got that driving wave constantly through, which is propelling the thing forward and giving it so much more dynamism than the vocal line gives it. But then at the center of it, she stands up and gets a backbone, and
she does. She does.
It's an amazing piece.
She can't be a weak character for me. It's I think for myself as the next generation of directors come into it, I think that we really have to think about the time we live in, and that you don't let that affect the story too much. You still need to tell the story honestly.
Right.
But you still have to think about the fact that she is there to accomplish a mission. And that she can't just ask for guidance, she has to demand it.
Yeah.
Because she has to convince herself that she's going to carry out her goal.
Right.
And if she tends to get too weepy and it becomes a little too frail, then there's no power behind it. When she leaves and finally,
then the audience doesn't care.
Well, exactly. And then it's like, do you really feel for her in the end? If
and we have to.
Yeah, we have to.
One more thing. I was looking at the schedule about a week ago, and I saw
the schedule. Oof.
Yeah, I know the daily schedule, and I saw blood rehearsal. And I've never, in 20 years with this company, I've never seen blood rehearsal on the daily schedule. So I have to ask about it, although I don't want you to give away too much.
I won't give away. What I'll say, I'll frame it this way. There is a lot that has to happen in a short amount of time. And in order to save us in tech time, I decided to rehearse a couple of specific scenes. A couple of scenes, not one scene.
Right. Yeah, I caught that
so
too.
that we actually could figure out the texture of the blood we needed.
And where it goes.
And how it gets there. And so that we didn't hit a moment in tech where we were stuck on stage figuring these out.
Say no more. I am thrilled. This is so exciting to have Carmen back and to have you back. And thank you.
It's so great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you. Awesome. Please come and enjoy.
Oh, they will.